Our next guest has been on an extraordinary journey over the last couple of years as he's established himself as a huge threat to the UFC heavyweight belt. He's also been making friends all over the world as he prepares to take on Junior Dos Santos in Croatia at UFC Fight Night 86. Big Ben Rothwell, welcome back to Submission Radio.
Oh, thank you guys.
It's always a pleasure to have you on. Welcome back to the program, Ben. We've been stalking your Twitter as always, as we always do, and we saw. Yeah, there you go. Now, all good things. We saw that you actually spent a lot of time in Zagreb, Croatia, about a week ago to help promote the fight. Tell us about the experience. What was it like there? And was the fan reception as warm as the fans in Dublin, Ireland?
Oh, for sure. I had a great time when I went to Ireland, and it made me excited. When I got the fight opportunity, and instead of sitting around for 10 months, I like a lot of aspects of the fight. There's a lot of fans for both of us now, so it makes for a great fight. And the opportunity to go to Croatia, somewhere new, I've never been there before, but obviously training with Pat Milic for 6 years. He was known as a Croatian sensation, and just growing up in the history there, I knew that the fighting was there, with Pro Cop and just a lot of that. The culture was there. So I was really excited for the opportunity, and things worked out well. And, I got to be there for a week. I could only do so much, but everywhere I went, it was like a positive. I had a great time. The fans really make it. And, it was just one of the best. I'm very excited, I'm at the point in my career now I can really honestly say I'm excited to fight. And, it's not even about a fight. It's perform.
Well, you mentioned last time when you were over in Dublin how you and Andrei Arlovski sort of had played a few games and had a bit of fun. I'm just wondering, any funny stories from your time in Croatia or any funny or interesting interactions with any specific fans?
Well, it was, the fans were just great. It was like on Thursday, I got there late Tuesday night, so I'd only been there for a little bit. And Thursday, I was kind of like on a track where I had to go to specific places, and then, I was kind of like sheltered. And then Thursday night, I finally got to get out. We went to dinner. I got to go walk around. And 10 seconds after getting out of the cab, strangers from across the street were shouting Big Ben, and they wanted me to win. And
wow.
They had my back. And it was just, the UFC PR people were just like, wow, this is happening. And it was very exciting, and just to have that kind of support already and just to feel it. And people know it, starting to feel what I'm fighting for. And one of the stories is when I came back that night, it was crazy. Just sitting in the hotel or in the lobby with a couple of his friends, Crow Cop was sitting there. So it was like, I just was like, yeah, wow. And all the people that I was with and pretty much the rest of the UFC crew, everybody just went to their rooms, and I was just hanging out by myself and just to see Crow Cop. So I got to grab a picture with him, and it was pretty exciting.
It's interesting that you say you grabbed a picture with him because, obviously, there's a lot of fans that would jump at the opportunity or, people like ourselves, but you and Crow Cop were obviously supposed to fight in Sydney, Australia at UFC 110. So it's interesting that that's sort of your reaction, that you would sort of drift over and grab a picture of him. And did you guys have a chat about a few things?
Well, before, yeah, we had a really great talk, and it was got to spend some time with him and get some insight, and very complimentary to me, of course. And I'm a fan first. When I started this sport, it was my entire journey in the very beginning before I ever started my very first fight. It was to learn the truth about MMA and, learn the truth of mixed martial arts. And it means a lot. It's not just about which discipline is the best. Because we're learning, it's evolving. It's all these different disciplines used at once seems to be the best. And a lot of these truths come out because people didn't think that way years ago. And you start to learn about people and the evolution of our culture with the sport. And Crow Cop was a part of that. He was somebody that I watched and he influenced me. And having to fight him isn't that. We were competing against each other. He was going to make me better. I was going to make him better, one way or the other. Win or lose, these things happen if you let them. And, it was a tough time, too, to bring it up, is that we were going to compete. And before and after, even if we did, it's still that respect is there. And when I was in Australia, it's when we bring this up, is because that was one of the hard people I was asked in my last interview what one of the hardest times was that I had. And it was when I was in Australia and got so sick and was in a bed and in the ER room for those days, the weeks of the fight. And I was still, the idea of fighting was still there. It was like we were going to compete, and it was a brutal time for me. And to not be able to fight, it was tough because it was my opportunity to fight in Australia. And when you guys said that I'm making friends all over the world, that's really awesome. That's probably one of the greatest things I could be fighting for, and it's true. And I feel like I am making friends all over the world. And I kind of lost that opportunity in Australia, and it's been really hard on me. You know, it was one of the lowest points in my career was that, not being able to compete for the fans. And I think my record speaks actions. You know, everybody can say what I'm saying. But when you look at my record, 33 finishes out of 36 wins, I go out to perform. I go out to give the fans what they pay to see, what they want to be inspired to see. And it means a lot to me. And I'm glad I got to be on the phone with you guys, you know, because I think that message needs to be out, and I think more and more people are realizing my message is true.
Yeah, certainly, and a lot of Big Ben Rothwell fans here in Australia. And certainly, we expect you to come down here on a promotional tour soon and have a couple of shrimps and a few beers with the boys down here. But before we get into your next fight, we want to get your thoughts about the craziness in the heavyweight division. More specifically, Cain Velasquez getting injured, Stipe replacing him, and then Verdum refusing to fight Stipe because he was injured and only open to fighting Cain. I'm just curious, Ben, we never got a chance to ask you, what did you make of the whole situation?
Well, we're also kind of sitting right here waiting. You know, I got myself busy, and a lot of the reasons why I know a lot of the heavyweights are starting to come out and saying, oh, it's from contract, oh, it's from this or that, about why they didn't take the fight. You know, they say it now that Junior and I are signed, now they all come out to say what the problem was. So it's fine. We know what I'm doing. I don't know who's fighting for the title, though. It's not announced. We have our suspicions, and it's kind of like set and just where is it? Because it makes it a lot easier to talk about everything when it's like announced and just like, now we can talk about this. And what we do know is Cain's out right now, and Overeem just signed, but he's already saying, hey, he wants to fight in Rotterdam. Like, he's already saying what he wants to do. So, you know, who does that leave? You know, it's up here in this top, and where does Travis Brown even put in the place he's won one fight, you know, and Andre Arlovski is there, but Andre did an interesting interview, and I said, hey, his shoulder was hurt, that's why he didn't take the fight. And I think that's an admirable way to just say, yeah, one of your fellow fighters just said, hey, man, you're hurt, leave you alone, give you some time. He came to an interview and says, no, we were going to take the fight, but our management looked at the fight, and we decided that there's not enough time. I'm just like, man, you didn't have to say any of that. That doesn't sound, now it doesn't sound as good. Now it's like, oh, like they don't want to fight Junior or something. So I don't know. It's interesting how different people handle things, and, you know, looking for those outs, I guess. You know, and my position is easy. I'm here to fight all of them, you know, and the ones that want to fight me again, that means I didn't do my job the first time, and I will not repeat that mistake.
Well, the first time you were ever on our show was after you knocked out Alistair Overeem, and you called out Junior Dos Santos, and every time we've had you on since, you've always said that he's the fight you want the most. You've echoed that pretty loudly. How do you feel now that it's finally official that you're getting what you've always wanted and you're going to be fighting Junior Dos Santos?
When I said that, he was I think it was undisputed, he was number one contender at the time. So, you know, my position changes. You know, it's always it's about me becoming the number one contender. So that's, you know, that was what the message was then. And then, you know, Overeem got the win on him and put him where he's at right now. So I have to look at I have to remind everybody who Junior Santos is and what he's done, you know, and why he's still always a threat to anyone and everyone, you know, and build that up. But I still believe that with a 5-fight win streak, I'm getting what I wanted. You know, I'm going to be the undisputed number one contender.
Yeah, no, certainly. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because Junior Dos Santos is sort of perceived differently now to when you were originally asking to fight him. Was he still the person that you wanted to fight next, Ben, or did you have your eyes set on someone else and Junior just sort of fell into place before you got that next fight?
No, when you're thinking about fighting everybody, you don't really set that. You know, if they were like, hey, we need you to fight for Doom now, you know, this many, yep, fine. Well, Junior, Verdum's healthy. You need to fight in 1 week. I can honestly tell you and sit here and tell you that after the Barnett fight, by the end of the weekend, I was ready to fight Stipe, Verdum, whoever it was. So, I mean, what else do I need to say? Here I'm coming for each and every one of them.
And I mean, that's the thing. You're saying you want to fight everybody and you will fight everybody at some point. How do you feel, though, about the way things have played out? Because, you could have faced Stipe already in theory and potentially beaten him, but instead, we know how that played out. Instead, you choked out Josh Barnett, sent a massive statement. Are you happy with sort of the route that it's all gone down and how it's played out? Or do you feel like if you had beaten Stipe in Ireland, it may have been you facing Verdum instead? Because from what everyone's heard, it's going to be Stipe and Verdum.
Making the statement that I made means a lot more to me because it made it to the entire MMA community. If I go and beat Stipe, it's like, yeah, he was ranked higher at the time, and there was that. It's just something about how long Josh Barnett's been around and what he brings and the way I won the fight. It's such a bigger statement. And when the whole thing went out with Stipe that he got injured and he pulled out, it's just something that's got to hang on his head now. And I just stayed positive, and I said it, and I was upset. Everybody knows I was upset like the day or so, but I got over it real quick, and I said, this is going to turn around. And fighting Josh Barnett on Fox was, that fight was going to be on Fight Pass, me and Stipe. So there's a lot of, there is some negatives left there. And I just stayed positive, and I made a far greater statement beating Josh Barnett in the way I did on Fox television than I would have fighting Stipe. So it did work to my advantage. And now this fight, it's like I just follow the path. Now this fight I'm healthy, I'm ready, I'm good. And it is a fight that I called out. So I'm just getting to prove I'm a man of my word. I said I called out Junior Santos, and when all these other heavyweights did not want to fight him and they backed out, here I am. I'm the one that just paid my dues. I'll do it again. So the statement continues.
We just want to talk about quickly about that massive win over Josh Barnett that you mentioned. I mean, it was a tidal wave that was felt all around the world here in Australia. What was that feeling like for you when you realized you had the choke and he was tapping? I mean, you're an incredibly confident guy, but what was going through your mind when you realized, hey, I just tapped what people thought was the number one grappler in my weight class?
Besides Verdum.
It's kind of like you got to break me up into two parts, and how both those parts took it. There is my fight night persona. I have like this switch, I call it. There is two sides to me. It's true. And the one that's in there is, and you're watching me fight and you watch me do what I do, getting the tap and I stand up, and that's what's expected. This is what I do. Now, the guy you're talking to right now, like taking in what that tap did and the magnitude of everything that comes with it and the statement that was really made. Yeah, it took, I was still like at home on Wednesday, really thinking about it. Like, wow, what, it did. It's surreal. And it's the best way I've been trying to put it. So yeah, there's a lot to it. And we're just very proud now because my team's being recognized and how many people are taking notice.
Just very curious, Ben, because the other thing that was sort of missing from your entrance was your cape, your hood that you wore last time that everybody seemed to love. Now, you mentioned that before you went out, they actually told you weren't allowed to wear it. I mean, is that it for the cape and the hood, or will there be possibly even like a Reebok one in the future? Because it seemed like the fans really loved that about your other persona that you mentioned.
Yeah, and that's awesome to hear because it goes both ways. It does something for me, and there's a group of fans that love it. So it's a double bonus. Just the Reebok is a sensitive subject. It's sensitive right now because we have to look at the positives of it, and right now it's just Reebok is wants things done a certain way as far as how we walk out, what we're wearing, and promoting the brand. And you got to think there's a lot of guys that do get help from this. And we don't hear enough from them. They don't talk about it. But the guys that come into the UFC and they're fighting on those lower tiered cards, they weren't making much to anything. I mean, really, let's be honest. They try to say they get their sponsors, but it wasn't much of anything. And now they're guaranteed something. And that's the next generation of guys that produce the sport. and they are getting some help now, more than they would. It's unfortunate as the guys at my level, yeah, we suffer. It had to come from somewhere. So for right now, it's just, hey, look, we have a major company that is now supporting the sport and backing us, and this is our way to get in the mainstream. And yeah, it sucks for a lot of us right now, but we have to see the bigger picture.
The real victim here is the magnificent hood that we're not seeing at the moment, but that's okay. Maybe in the future there'll be a Reebok hood and everything will be made right.
I think if enough of us talk, it's going to take the fans. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need what you guys just said. Wow, I wish I could have a couple people on the phone with me right now while you just said everything you said about how many. It isn't just you. There's a group of fans, and this fan, I think it's getting bigger and bigger. That they love all of it. Let me be me.
I think we need to start a hashtag like #Rothwell Reebok hood. But on another note, Ben, we remember when you first called out Junior at the end of 2014, and a lot of fans didn't really think you were ready for him at that point. And I think maybe the losses to Cain Velasquez and Mark Hunt were part of the reason behind that. Now, you're looked as the favorite by not only fans, but by odds makers as well to beat Junior. I know that you've always believed in yourself, or especially in the last couple of years, but how do you feel about the fact that the people have really gotten behind you over the last couple of years and joined you on this, this journey of development and progression as a fighter?
Well, there's a group of people that believed it before they even had any of that. They just had me and what I was showing them I could do. And to prove them right now, yeah, it's very fulfilling because it's there, it's there, and it's just a matter of showing the world it, and now it's happening. But what's crazy is it's just, do you guys remember what I said right before I laughed to the whole world?
When you beat over him?
No, when I beat Matt Matrione.
I'm struggling. I know it was an epic promo, but I forgot your words. Remind us.
That you haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's just, people don't even know the magnitude of that. It's not just a go-go joke. And yeah, it's just a lot was shown in the last fight that people didn't even see. And that's like another accomplishment. It's just like, wow, this is really happening. And the details and see things, it's pretty awesome to have them catch notice.
No, certainly. Let's. Sorry, Ben. Go on. I thought you were done.
No, we're good.
Let me ask you. Let's talk about the fight because we do appreciate your time, but we know you don't have very much of it, and we will let you go very shortly. Just speaking about Junior Dos Santos, obviously a lot of criticism about his last fight. A lot of people believing he didn't quite look the same, and possibly because of some of the head trauma that he's taken in previous fights. I just want to get your perspective on Junior's performance against Overeem. Is Junior at a point now where he's lost his confidence, or do you think may never even see the same Junior Dos Santos that was the UFC champion, which seemed like so long ago?
Always got to show the fans that Junior and I are, we've proven we're two of the best in the world, and you just got to tune in. We're the main event of Fox Sports 1, so a lot of people should be able to watch it. If not, come to Croatia and watch it live. And we're going to give the fans an incredible show. So that's it. That's the message. And April 10th, hold on.
Regardless of sort of where Junior's at in his career, he's still always dangerous on the feet and obviously lethal on the feet. His ground game's fairly untested, whereas obviously you've just picked up 2 back-to-back submission victories, both via go-go choke, we might add, and before that 2 back-to-back knockout wins. How do you see this fight playing out? Where do you see yourself having the strongest advantages, Ben?
That's it. April 10th, I'm giving you guys all a reason to, you got to see. Who knows what is going to happen at my entrance, and what are we going to do inside that cage? And you guys are going to tune in. So
is there possibly something new planned for the Ben Rothwell entrance? A new wrinkle added to the entrance game?
It may not even be new. It's not new to me. Like I said, there's so much that the world needs to see from me, but it's going to be new for you. For absolutely, it's quite the list.
So. Well, it's very exciting. We can't wait to see. I mean, I know you don't want to give too much away about the fight, but what do you think sends a stronger message? Knocking out a knockout artist or scoring your 3rd back-to-back go-go choke?
I guess we're going to find out.
Ben's tight-lipped here. Doesn't want to give anything away. Ben, you're very good at keeping secrets.
Hey, that's what people like, right? You can't know everything.
We've had.
And it's funny because my wife, I have to make up for it here because in real life with my wife, I'm horrible at secrets. So I have to practice somewhere.
So you're making it up here with Submission Radio and all your Australian fans here today.
Well, the other big question is, Ben, what do you think a win over Junior Dos Santos does for you? I mean, you spoke a little bit about the picture before. You win against Junior Dos Santos. That's 5 fights in a row. Does that give you the next title shot?
I believe so. I believe the fans are already, there's a large group of fans that say I'm number one contender right now. They'd have no problem seeing me fight for the title. I see, some of the best journalists and out there saying the same thing. These are MMA analysts. These people are invested in our sport, and this is how they feel. So that's some pretty powerful backing. And when I say that, I know that I'll be the number one undisputed contender. I just feel it. Everyone's like, yes, it's just, that's the way it is. So that's why I took this opportunity, because I believe I just need the champion, whichever one it is, stay healthy, and we're going to fight, this year.
Well, finally, Ben, the man who seems like he may be in line for the next title shot is Stipe, and he sent a strong message when he yelled at Dana White after knocking out Andrei Arlovski, and that's apparently what got him this apparent title shot. Nothing's still locked in. Do you plan on doing anything similar after you beat Junior, just to lock in that potential shot? Because even though you always cut a great promo after you win, it feels like it's aimed at the crowd. Have you thought about perhaps jumping the cage and getting into Dana White's face, maybe taking a step above Stipe to make sure you're next in line?
That doesn't sound like anything I'm going to do.
Okay, well, then at least there's one prediction here. While we're talking about predictions, I know you're tight-lipped, Ben, but the fans would kill us if we don't ask you. I'm not expecting much from this answer, but prediction-wise, how do you see yourself beating Junior Dos Santos there in Croatia?
It's they got to tune in. They know it. Okay. There's nothing to say here. You got to come watch.
All right, well, we know the date. Obviously, guys, you can follow Big Ben on Twitter at Rothwell Fighter. And if you haven't seen, his account description is pretty classic. It says, "I get paid to end monsters." Very well put, Ben. And, of course, you can see him fight at UFC Fight Night 86. Reminder, April 10th, and obviously because of the time difference, it's going to be April 11th here in Australia, where he'll be looking to put an end to another monster, and that's Junior Dos Santos. As always, Ben, thanks so much for chatting with us, and thanks for coming back on the show.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.